Hello and welcome to Conversations with Carrie. I'm your host, Carrie Murray, and I'm here to uplift, inspire you and empower you through overwhelm, feeling stuck, confusion and feeling tired. And one of the things I want to share with you today is something that I learned quite a few years back. I'm surprised I didn't come across it before. But it's something that's so key to our continual learning and growth. And I see this so much in people who say, I want to change, I want things to be different, but then they don't make the change. When you present them with information, they dismiss it. And really it's because of three little words, and I'll tell you what those are in a moment. But right now I want you to understand the significance of this, of telling yourself these three words. It's a very simple phrase. It's a phrase that I've used time and time again in the past. Occasionally I catch myself saying it, and when I do I have to go, whoa, hang on a second. Do I really? Because if I don't, then I really need to hear this right now. And I really need to pay attention, because this could change. This could be the thing that changes my life. Because when we say these three words, what tends to happen is that we shut down. We put up a mental and conscious wall to block any further information coming in, because we're constantly bombarded by information. So if we don't want to hear something, what better way than just to literally put up a mental wall, just to keep that noise out. And when I've seen people say this as well, their eyes glaze over, it's like they completely dissociate from the present moment. It's like they've just left the room. In terms of their mind, like the body's there, but there's no one home. They've just literally closed down. And as a result of that, they don't get the benefit of the information that's coming through. They don't get the benefit of hearing something as perhaps a slightly different way, a slightly different nuance. They don't realize that they're not the same person that heard it the first time, that they will have changed, that there will be perhaps different neurons, that maybe they're more ready to hear what's being said, even though their ears have perhaps already heard before, that perhaps they still need to hear it now so that they can act upon it. So, you're probably curious to know what these three words are. Actually, before I go into that, I want to share with you that this is going to be a short podcast, because I'm watching a 2-day webinar and it's going to be starting really soon. So I want to keep this short and succinct and just keep it to this point, because I think it's really important. And I want to share with you that this is the third time doing this particular webinar. It's live. I know the people who are running it pretty well. They usually cover the same content. They may sometimes throw something a little bit different in, say something a little bit different. In fact, they've swapped, they've got a couple of people who present, they've swapped things around a little bit, which has been really interesting, because someone brought a slightly different aspect to what they were sharing. I think it's actually one very important question, which I don't think they used last time in an exercise that we did. So there's some really key things that can happen when we re-watch things. And so this is the third time I've watched this one, and I've attended another webinar about behavior profiling. So this is the one I'm watching right now, is Self-Mastery with Calvin Coils. And it's a program that I really enjoy. It delves into NLP. It talks about, it speaks to our own personal development, but also how we can use that with clients. I've usually approached this one through the mindset, okay, how can I help my clients? This one I'm actually going, you know what, how can I use this to help me? and it's triggering stuff a lot more than it has in the past, which is awesome. And so the other one is eDisc. And so to eDisc with Joe Parner, I've attended that twice now, and that's all about behavioral profiling. And again, every time that I go to these things, I try and come at it from a different perspective, and I've heard other people do this too. When they go to a training, it matters about what mindset we rock up in, whether it's one for us, whether it's one of service, whether we're in a happy, positive state, or whether we're in a depressed state. All of these things add up to the experience and what information we're going to take in. So, that out of the way, I want to emphasize that, because I want you to understand that there's benefits to going things more than once, right? Because the 3 words that stop people in their tracks in terms of learning and really making change in their lives is this: I know that. I know that. Try it on. If you would say that, I know that. Honestly, and I've seen people say that to me, I felt dismissed, but I've also seen them disconnect. Like their eyes glaze over and it's like they go somewhere else. I know that. And it's a real shame, because it limits us so much, because we can't possibly know everything. It's like, yes, I'm listening to this webinar. It's like, yep, I've heard it before. Yes. Am I applying it? I'm applying some of it. Am I applying all of it? No. There's a lot there to learn, and there's a lot there to apply. And there's no way I can literally change my life overnight. There's no way any of us can do that. It takes time, it takes process, it takes building up a habit and keeping on going with that. So these webinars are seriously intense. There's a lot of information, and they do that deliberately to actually get us out of our head, so that the brain literally cannot function anymore, and we start getting the unconscious coming through. Especially with something like self-mastery, where it's really mostly about our own development and sharing tools that we can help clients as part of that. So that's why it's called self-mastery. It's all about mastering us. So I'd like you to think about times in your life where you've said those 3 words. I know that. And I want to ask you, did you really know that? Or is it just something that you saw, that you heard, that you maybe felt? Or was it something that you had actually taken on board, that you've implemented in your life, and that you can see the difference, whether it was good or bad, that you can see the difference of using it in your life? If it's the latter, awesome. You know that. But if it was the other, so it's literally something you just saw, heard, felt, and that's it. So when we are listening to information, it's really key to know the difference between something that we've heard before and haven't implemented and acted on, versus something we've heard before, seen before if we've read it, and used. And can say, yep, I did that. And I don't mean that you did it once, because no doubt, I would imagine that quite a few people would say, oh, I've meditated once. But it takes weeks to build up a practice. It takes weeks to see any results. I think on average from a study that I looked at, it was like 10 weeks before you actually see a result from meditating every day. That's a long time. Most people don't. Most people don't do it for that long. They give up within the first week or two. Oh, this isn't working. Really? Did you give it long enough? So it's not enough to say, well, I tried that once either. Knowing it means that you're living it, you're breathing it, you're embodying it. I trust this is hitting home. So important. So important to your growth, your development, to have the change you really want to see in your world. Because, like I said, I'm going to these webinars and I'll go to several of them because I know I'll take one tiny piece of it and use that. And there'll be a whole lot that's just simply something I saw or heard. Because I can't implement it all. It's not possible. Not humanly possible. I'd like to think I'm superhuman. But the truth of the matter is, I'm human. And that's like most of us, right? Or all of us. We're human. We can only take in so much and we can only do so much. And that's okay. It's totally okay and totally normal. So, I'd love to hear, and you can share in the Facebook club. And I'll be honest, I don't think I've changed the URL. I think it's still facebook.com/groups/Empowering You Book Club. It's not a book club anymore, but it is empowering, and it is all about coming together to empower each other. So if you would love to share your thoughts on this, please come to the group, share in the community what you took away from this very short podcast about I know that. I'd love to know, have you ever used that phrase? What was your experience of using that phrase? And what does it look like for you when you really, truly know something? So I've mentioned that it's really when we embody it, but perhaps you have a different way of saying that. So I would love for you to share your knowledge, because I'm going to say, I don't know that. I don't know that, I don't know that I know everything there is to know about not saying that. Not saying I don't know that. It's not funny. So it's being open to learn. It's being open to play and all of that stuff. So please do come and join us. Please come and share. We'd love to have you there and be part of our little collective. And I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Bye for now.